You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com.
Greetings, Earthlings. You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Mothership Network.
Hey everybody, this is Ugly.
This is the Juice Box Hero, Tyler Jones.
This is Almighty Christopher Daniel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Iron Mike Johnson with Impact Pro Wrestling.
This is Jermaine Johnson.
This is the world's greatest pop icon, Donnie Pepper Cricket, sometimes known as the Dundee Strangler, Brandon Juarez.
This is Caprice Cole.
I'm Wes Risk.
Hey, this is WWE Artist in Residence, Rob Schamberg.
Hey guys, this is Savannah Stone.
Hey everybody, this is Ian Riccaboni from Ring of Honor.
Hey babe, Cousin Gator, dang old, bang bang.
I'm Nick Dinsmore.
Hey, this is Miss Frankie J.
Yeah, this is the pretty boy Pitbull Kenny King.
Hey there, this is the one, the only, the astonishingly above the rest front man of professional wrestling, Jossie.
You are listening to the sultry sounds of Chainsaw King.
Hey guys, this is James Jeffries.
Hey everybody, you know me. My name is Eugene. Tell you something. There's nobody that's got a sting like Killer B. Brian Blair. Like the Killer B jumping Jim Brunzell when he drop kicks you in your teeth. The only thing better than that is Shotgun Radio Podcast with Zach and Zach. They will give you a heart attack, and if they don't, we'll come sting you, and we will put some pollen in your veins. So listen to Zach and Zach. Jack.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I'm your host, Zach Takes, joined as always by the Zigman. And Zigman, we have a huge show this week as our Hall of Fame weekend coverage continues right here on Shotgun Wrestling Radio. You heard from his opponent, James Jeffries, last week. Now we have the man, the legend, Mr. B. Brian Blair, on this week to give his response to what James has to say as they prepare for Mr. Blair's upcoming big retirement match coming up next week in Waterloo, Iowa. Brian Blair, welcome to the show tonight, sir.
Well, Big Zach, don't give me a heart attack, but I want to tell James Jeffries just one thing that he really needs to know. And that is this. I have wrestled for 5 decades. I am in the best shape that I could possibly be for a man that has just turned 60 years old. And for a man that just turned 60 years old, I am biologically like a 40-year-old man. And that is a fact. And James Jeffries needs to know this as well. You know, I've been from Maine to Spain. I've been deep down in the Ukraine. You know, as a matter of fact, I remember being from New York to Holland as the killer bees spreading pollen, and that's how we created the hive. You see, James Jeffries has no idea that I've wrestled from coast to coast, north, south, east, and west. I've wrestled the very, very best, from Harley Race to Ric Flair to anybody that you can name. I don't care who you can name from 2000 and before that is a superstar. I wrestled them. Win or lose, I learned. And I'm hoping, because I like James Jeffries, that he realizes that when he steps in the ring with B. Brian Blair, that I am not playing any games. I promise you that. I am not screwing around. I will wrestle him because it says wrestling on the marquee. I will wrestle him, and I am going to show him that all this BS that you see flying around right now is just that. It's BS. And we're going back to old school. And when I'm talking about old school, I'm going to grind his face in the mat. I'm going to grind his ass in the mat because I love him. And when I say that, I mean that because I see an up-and-coming guy who has so much talent, who has so much integrity, so much humility. So the guy is probably the best guy I could ever think of that really appreciates where we came from, that really appreciates the history of wrestling. Unlike so many other greedy bastards in this business, James Jeffries is a class act. And I look forward to wrestling him. And as I said, I am going to wrestle him in front, because nobody knows wrestling like Iowa or Oklahoma. Am I correct?
Absolutely right.
Darn right. So people appreciate wrestling. Whether it's Danny Hodge, Lou Fez, Jack Briscoe, all the old timers, they know what the guys went through. They know the grind that everybody went through to get to where they got. And it's a shame that the younger breed does not know that. But I don't know how to say this, but I feel sorry for James, because I'm going to give him a wrestling lesson like he's never had in his life. I promise you that. The fans in Waterloo have seen me for the last 4 years. This will be the 5th. And I promise you this, that I am prepared to give every ounce of energy, every drop of sweat, everything that is in my entire body, because this is my retirement match, and I am not going to go down in defeat to James Jeffries. But when I'm done beating him, I'm going to shake his hand, and I'm going to give him a big hug and tell him that I love him.
Now, as you had mentioned there, you have been coming to Waterloo for the past 4 years, this year being your 5th. You have had the opportunity to see James quite a few times, because as you well know, James has always been a big part of the Hall of Fame weekend, and he always has a big following in Waterloo, Iowa. What have you learned just from what you've been watching from afar about James Jeffries?
Like I said, James is an up-and-coming star. What is James, 26, 27?
I think somewhere in there, yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but
he's got a wonderful wife, I know that. He's got more integrity, he is probably the nicest young man that I've ever met in my life. He comes to the Cauliflower Alley Club. You guys know I'm the president.
Yep.
Excuse me, the president and CEO. I've got a kind of a tear in my eye because of something that just happened, but I can't tell you guys right now. Excuse me. The CAC, the Cauliflower Alley Club, is a passion of my life, because I get to help people that helped me. I get to help people that have fallen on difficult financial times due to no fault of their own. We never had a insurance plan in wrestling. We never had a 401k. We never had the things that we should have had. We never had a union. Although Jesse Ventura and my former partner, who I still do many, many things with, who I deeply respect, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, teamed up with Jesse, and they tried to start a union. And I told them that unless you get Hulkster and Macho and all the guys that were on top then, they'll never work. They still did it, and they wound up getting 2 weeks off canned with no pay. And I don't fault them. It's just really a shame that we still have to watch out for each other the way we do. As much money, WWE is a major ticker symbol on the Dow, not the Nasdaq or the S&P, but on the Dow. And it's they're a major money maker, and the last resort is still the Cauliflower Alley Club. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is, and I'll keep fighting for that. But more importantly, to wrestle for 5 decades is, to me, kind of a big deal. I started in late 77, really 78. Wrestled Hogan to a draw his first match. Went on and became two-time Florida heavyweight champion, Southern heavyweight champion. Dusty Rhodes used to call me the future hero of Florida. And that's a major, major compliment coming from the American Dream, who I've always respected all my life. And, you know, between Jack Briscoe and Jerry Briscoe, Bob Backlund, all the people that came through Florida, I don't care. You can name who you want to name. I mean, Ivan Cole. All these people taught me so much. And I'm going to take everything. I'm going to dedicate my whole match to those that are before me. And I just don't see anything stopping me. If James Jeffries beats me, God bless him. But I don't think he's going to. I just don't. I have too much. I've been working out too hard. I've been thinking about the whole situation. And this is the biggest match in my lifetime.
Now, what was it for you that you decided that you wanted Waterloo and the Hall of Fame weekend to be your retirement match? I mean, it feels like the last several years for the Hall of Fame weekend, we've seen several of our local favorites kind of wide off into the sunset. It's almost, sadly, as a fan, becoming kind of a ritual that somebody retires at the Hall of Fame. What is it for you that you wanted that this weekend to be your retirement match, and especially against, you know, James Jeffries?
Well, Zach, that's a fabulous question. And first off, I didn't choose my opponent. Okay, Troy Peterson chose my opponent.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you had any say in it or not, so that's why I didn't know.
No, I did not have any say. So I really did not like when I heard I was going to wrestle James Jeffries, because I love the kid. And I was hoping that I would, wrestle the nastiest dude that is in Impact Pro Wrestling, but unfortunately I'm wrestling the nicest guy in Impact Pro Wrestling. And it's a difficult situation for me because, you know, I can't lay down, I can't slow up, and unfortunately I'm going to be there jacked. I'm going to be there ready to kick butt and take names, and it's not anything against James Jeffries. I'm going to shake his hand. I'm not going to do anything nasty to him. I promise I'm not going to do it. I'm going to straight up wrestle the guy. If he can beat me, great. If I can beat him, you know, it's going to show me that hard work, perseverance, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that I gained through all those before me will be what determines this match.
Now, Brian, I wanted to ask you about the other person involved in the match, legendary referee James Beard. What do you think of him being the referee for your retirement match?
You know, I am so proud of James Beard. Humbly, I say that. James Beard is one of the greatest referees that has ever stepped in the ring. And to have James Beard as the referee, I feel so confident that there's not going to be anything that's going to be controversial in the referee's opinion, because James Beard is not only experienced, he's not only knowledgeable, he understands the guys in the ring. Unlike many other referees, they never study the guys in the ring. They don't know who's who. They just go out there to either be there or to make a living. James Beard takes this so seriously. He's like me, you know, he comes to the Cauliflower Alley Club and he gives us all to help other wrestlers. And it's the same with James Jeffries. He comes to Cauliflower Alley Club every year. I mean, we're getting ready to have our 55th reunion, and that's not till April, but you ask me, I support, and the reason I wanted to be at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Waterloo, Iowa, Jack Briscoe was my brother, just like Jerry is right now, but Jack and I were much closer. He was so close to me, and I was so close to him that I would do anything. We talked every single day. we would go do things, we would work out, we would do things that nobody would ever understand. Jack Briscoe was a 2-time national champion. He was one of the greatest amateur wrestlers. He was one of the greatest professional wrestlers that ever lived. And I love Jack Briscoe. I love the Briscoes in general, Gerald Briscoe, Wesley Briscoe. I mean, what a great family, a great dynasty, but there'll never be another Jack Briscoe. And when I walk into the ring, that's who I will really be thinking about.
And it has to be even more, meaningful for you, because we all know that Gerald Briscoe attends every year. So it has to be even more meaningful for you that, Jerry's going to be there in attendance for your last match as well.
Oh, it's big time. It's big time. And Gerald's on the board. Gerald takes other people seriously. I mean, we are not selfish people. We love the people and we understand the people that Zach, I can't tell you how much you sacrifice in the wrestling business, man. You sacrifice your family. You sacrifice so many things that people don't understand. I mean, so many brothers of mine are dead from drugs. It makes me sick to my stomach because they were such great talents. And, it brings tears to my eyes, actually. I'm glad we're not on Skype because I think of Rick Rude. I think of Brian Adams. I think of so many of my wonderful friends, Kurt Hennig, that lost their lives because of drugs. And it really kills me. I mean, it really bothers me big time. And, I try to give back as much as I can to their families, as much as I can to all the other wrestlers because I love them so much because I would never have a job without them. And unfortunately, too many of these young people don't realize that. And, it's almost to wrestle James Jeffries. He's one of the guys that does realize that. And it's so hard to go out now. And, Troy Peterson booked the match, so it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. And James Jeffries is a fan favorite. He's truly, a person in the Waterloo, as you guys both know, that everybody in the stands loves. I love him, and it's going to be a difficult situation. I don't know how else to explain it. It's the most difficult thing in my life. Even though this is my retirement match, I will not wrestle anymore. I mean, I'm tired. I'm broken down. Like I said, biologically I'm 40, but I've got other things to do, and I don't need the money. It's not a money thing. Been very blessed. I went from welfare to millionaire, and it's very nice to be busted with food stamps at 11 years old and know that I never have to worry about paying my light bill or my electric bill, because this is America. It's capitalism. It's the greatest country in the world. And it's another thing that pees me off, because I'm going to be fighting for America, for the American flag, for everything that represents the United States of America, and for all the illegals and for all the liberals. They can suck I won't say the word, because I cannot stand them. I cannot stand them. They make me puke. So for all the liberals out there, you can suck my bingo, because you're trying to ruin America and you're trying to ruin our nation. And it makes me absolutely sick when you protect MS-13, when you want to protect illegals before you protect the downtrodden and the hungry in our nation. When I see people that have served in the military with PTSD, with every kind of disease and every kind of mental disorder, and they're on the streets, and we want to help frickin' foreigners that are illegal here before, that's what's going to fuel me, because I've been a politician too. I fought for our people. I fought for our children. I fought for our county. I fought for everything that is good. But now, when Well, I guarantee you on Saturday night in Iowa, July 27th, I am going to take every bit of animosity that is in my blood right now, Zach, and I am going to kick James Jeffries' ass.
And we're extremely excited for this contest. As you said, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic with James and you as yourself. You've been a very heavy favorite there in Waterloo as well, but I kind of want to take it back to the whole weekend experience. For any, you've been there the last 4 years now. For anybody that hasn't gone yet to this weekend and they're maybe coming to it for the first time, what would you tell them in advance that they need to know for this coming weekend? Because there's so many events from Thursday all the way to Saturday that happen. What's the one thing that you would tell people who are on the fence about coming to this weekend that haven't made up their mind yet?
I would tell them right now that for $130, you're going to get $1,000 plus worth of value. I'm a businessman. I've been successful in every business I've ever ventured. I owned all the Gold's Gyms in Hillsborough County. I was the most successful county commissioner that ever was elected in Hillsborough County. I saved the people of Hillsborough County over $1 billion in 4 years. I made Gold's Gyms so successful. I have turned real estate into a fortune. I don't worry about money. I don't have to. So for $130, and that's a lot of money, I understand that. It's very hard for some people to come up with $130, especially when you have a family. But I just want to say this. If you don't see another match, I promise you, the match that you're going to see with James Jeffries and myself will be worth more than the $130 itself. Yet you get 3 days worth of entertainment, not just the matches. It's amazing to go to the pro wrestling, the Tragos Thez Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is absolutely amazing. And you will get way, way, way more than that value. So if you're sitting on the fence, I implore you, not because of B. Brian Blair, not because of James Jeffries, not because of our match, but you're going to get more value to see what you have never seen in your life just by going to the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Iowa. Just the way it's set up, the way you're going to understand the business from the very beginning, from from Hackenschmidt to Thez to Flair to Lesnar to wherever you want to be in wrestling, you're going to see it there. It's absolutely amazing. The Funks, the Briscoes. I can't say enough about the Funks and the Briscoes and the Von Erichs and the families that I've wrestled with, lived with, stayed with, dined with, rode with, road stories after road stories. I mean, Big John Studd, Andre the Giant. I got more stories with Andre the Giant than you can shake your fist at. And, these guys all made this business. And, one thing that hacks me off more than anything are the younger people that don't understand the history of our business. And to go to the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Waterloo, Iowa, that is the greatest way to understand the history of our business.
Absolutely. And, this year, I'm sure you're aware that they've done an absolutely amazing, from what we've seen, renovation of the museum. So I can't wait to get there next Thursday afternoon and actually see what the renovation looks like. Because from everything that we've been told and from what we've seen in videos and pictures, the renovation at the museum itself looks absolutely fantastic.
Zach, I heard the same thing, so I'm excited about that as well. And the great thing, Kyle Klingman did a tremendous job, and I love Kyle. They're our sister corporation as far as the Cauliflower Alley Club goes. We help them, they help us. We all work together, and it's a wonderful thing. And now, Troy, I have the utmost confidence in Troy Peterson. I have the utmost confidence in the board with Charlie Thez and Joe Prisco, as I said, and the other wonderful people that serve on the board there. The renovations are so exciting. I've heard Gerald Briscoe's been teasing me so much. So I cannot wait to see it. I got to be honest with you. That makes me really happy for you to say, because I am just so excited to see the renovation.
Now, as we've mentioned, you've been coming back to the Hall of Fame weekend for the last 4 years. What for you has been the most exciting part of the weekend? Because like we said, every year different events keep getting added. What has been the most exciting out of all the events that happen from Thursday to Saturday that you enjoy so much?
You know, when I was a kid in Gary, Indiana, where I was born, I used to play this game called Aces High, a pinball machine. And Kyle Klingman brought a WWE pinball machine in last year, and I couldn't get off that pinball machine. But it just reminded me of the Aces High when I was a kid playing pinball. But there's always something to do for, you know, I don't care if you have kids that are 4, 6, 8. There's always something exciting to do at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and it's so family friendly, and we absolutely need more family friendly events. And the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Iowa is not only family friendly, it is so educational. If you even like wrestling, from where it started, from the history, from the carnival, that's where wrestling evolved. You'll learn it all at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and you'll see the people that gave blood, sweat, and tears so that James Jeffries, every person in Impact Pro Wrestling, myself, every person in the WWF, the WWE, every person in WCW, every person in AEW, every person in ROH, every person from New Japan Pro Wrestling, where I spent 2.5 years of my life, everybody can see how everything evolved at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Iowa. It's the best.
Now, before we kind of start wrapping things up, I did want to take this time to talk a little bit about your time with the WWE and you and your partner Jim Brunzell as Killer Bees. You had a lot of great battles there as your tag team. Many, especially with the Hart Foundation, were some of my favorite battles. What for you, I guess, would have been one of your favorite tag teams that you guys had worked with in your time in the WWF?
Oh, without a doubt, the Hart Foundation. I mean, I was just with Brett. When Anvil died, it crushed all of us. And Brett and I were over at Natty and TJ's house. We sat and Natty, you know what I'm talking. We went to talk in a separate room. This is a true story, guys. For like 10 minutes. It turned out to be 3 hours. After 3 hours, Natty came in and said, "Please, guys, I know you're having a good time, but can you join us?" That night. I mean, literally 3 hours. And we didn't get even to 10% of what we wanted to talk about. Bret Hart, to me, was one of my favorite opponents. You know, we wrestled a few single matches, but in tag matches, I would love to have had a singles battle with Bret because of the psychology that he has, because of his work ethics. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff happens to be my favorite singles opponent. I loved Ric Flair. I loved Harley Race. I loved Dory Jr. I loved to work with all those guys. I mean, we had tremendous matches. I've wrestled everybody you can think of. I mean, go look. I've had over 5,000 wrestling matches. How many guys do you know that have had over 5,000 wrestling matches? In over 40 countries in every state in America. There's not one state in America that I have never wrestled in. There's not one city over 500,000 people that I have not wrestled in. And I can tell you right now that my two favorite opponents are Bret Hart and Paul Orndorff.
You know, you can't go wrong with either of those guys. For me as a kid, Bret was one of my all-time favorites as a kid. You know, he wrestled with such a style that everything he did looked so smooth. I mean, it just looked extremely smooth, and you really believed what he was doing. Like, that was one of the things I just absolutely loved about him. And even when they turned him into a bad guy, it was still hard not to cheer for the guy, because I've been a fan of his for so long. I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop cheering him now, no matter what he's saying. You know, he was just, I can still to this day go back and watch a lot of his matches and just get the same amount of joy and excitement out of them as I did when I was younger.
You know, that's great, Zach. I love to hear that. And one thing a lot of people don't realize is how beat up we get. You know, wrestling has a predetermined ending generally. Although I've had 10 shoots, and I can name all the guys right now. I beat every one of their freaking asses because they started it. I never started a fight with Buzz Sawyer. I never started a fight with Moondog Spot, with with Matt Bourne, with all the guys that thought they were tough. I never started a fight, but I never lost a fight. And that's a fact. You can ask Ric Flair right now what his favorite fight was, what his favorite shoot was. And he'll tell you right now that it was me and myself and Matt Bourne. Matt Bourne sucker punched me. I wound up beating his ass 3 times. He came back for more and more and more. So somehow, an hour later at the end, he came back and tried to pull my eye out from behind, and I turned around, leg dived, and was on top of him, and he still grabbed my eye, and Ivan Koloff kicked his hand and said, we don't mess with eyes. And, you know, after that, I just realized what love and camaraderie there was, whether you fight or not. We all became friends afterwards, which was the great thing. And I don't know what's going to happen, but again, I don't play games. You know, I just don't play games. So many people don't understand the injuries that we get. I've had four operations on my right knee until it was replaced. I've torn my left quad completely off the bone, completely, 100% off the bone, and had to have that surgically redone. I've torn 3 tendons in Hiroshima, Japan, where the guys teased me so much that since we dropped a bomb on them before I even know, you know, it's like all the bullshit that's going on right now. Bringing up all the racist things, I can't stand that. I hate racism. And people, you know, at the time, everybody on the bus, Akasaka, the bus driver for New Japan Road Pro Wrestling, was taking me to the hospital. Big John Studd came up to me and said, man, you don't want to go to the hospital. They're going to sew your hand like a fist. Okay, then thinking about it for a couple of minutes, and then comes Maeda, and he says, "Oh, Mr. Bryan, this is not a good place to have operation." So thinking, and you know, one by one, everybody on the bus, not everybody, but like they did it so systematically that I said, "Akasaka, don't take me to the hospital. I'm not getting an operation." So I sewed. I wrapped my hand up, and I'll show you guys the stitches, all the stitches. So I wrapped my hand up and wrestled for 10 days, and the doctor cut down halfway down my forearm, and he couldn't find my tendon, so he had to sew my 3 fingers together. Then another time, you know, nobody showed up in Hamilton, Ontario because of the storms. Wesley Smith made me wrestle 4 times, and I dislocated my thumb so bad that it couldn't be repaired. Then another time, in Bill Watson's territory in New Orleans, in St. Bernard, with 10,000 people drinking alcohol, Eric the Red stabbed me with the bottle accidentally, but it went all the way through my hand and all the way out the other side. And I'll show you the stitches. And I fainted, but all the brothers came to my rescue, or to Eric's rescue, and saved him from probably being killed. People don't understand this stuff. I've had 4 major concussions in wrestling. I have no idea how many I had. Playing football. You know, I played major college football, Division I. I wrestled, and you know, I've been banged up, but never like pro wrestling. Never. I mean, I played baseball. I played. You know, I have still to this day. If you look at Tampa Bay Tech High School, Robinson High School in Florida, I have the record for the most letters. Nobody's out surpassed me because I had a broken home. I didn't have a mom and dad. I lived on my own. I do have a mom and dad who I love very much. My mom lives in my guest house, but they were divorced. So I lived on my own. I got busted with food stamps, as I mentioned earlier. But I realized that this is the greatest nation in the world, as I've already said, and that whether it's wrestling or whatever you want to do, you can be successful in America. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be so successful, Zach. You can have the greatest podcast. You guys can be as good as you want to be, and so can all the youth in America. And I want to make sure that they know that, because I came from poverty, from welfare to up there. And I just am so grateful. And it wasn't just wrestling. It was business acumen. It was being a politician. It was doing things for others. And as long as people are doing things for others, you know, that's what makes this nation a better place. And I try to always help others. And I am going to try to help James Jeffries be a better wrestler. That is one of my goals. And I probably maybe shouldn't say that, but that is truly one of my goals, is to make him a better man in the ring.
And, you know, speaking of your in-ring career here, before we kind of, again, continue to wrap up here with you, I did want to ask you, as you said, you've been wrestling for a long time. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You've been wrestling since before I was born. And if you had to choose, if somebody came up to you and said, what would you say your favorite match that you were involved in was? What would you say?
Without a doubt. Well, okay. 2. Can I say 2?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. WrestleMania 3, when it came out before Hogan and Andre, and they had those funky golf carts or whatever they were.
Yep.
We're sitting there in a pair of modified underwear, looking around at over 90,000 people, not counting the people on pay-per-view and the videos that were also. And I'm looking at all these people, and all I can see is dots up there. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I really want to have a great match for these people. I wish that I had a different opponent. And most people would never think about that. They would be so excited to be against Slick, the Sheik, and Volkov. But everybody knows that the Sheik and Volkov can get, God bless Nikolai, and God bless the Sheik still hanging in there, I think. But anyway, even though we've had our words, but I still wish them, you know, I wish Nikolai, God's presence in heaven. I wish the Sheik all the best. He's been through a lot, but those guys you could not have a comeback against those guys, because it was a shoot to pick up one of them, to slam them. They did not want to get slammed. They did not want to do anything. They did not want to take a clothesline. They took 3 stage bumps, and so they could get the most heat. And Slick was a great talker at the time. So, I mean, and it was a decent match, and of course, that's what made Hacksaw, you know, I knew the whole deal. When he came in WrestleMania 3, you know, I wrestled in WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4, I was out WrestleMania 5, got paid for it, but I didn't wrestle because I made my notice. Long story. But, you know, that was one of my favorite matches, but my actual favorite wrestling match was at the Kiel Auditorium against Mr. Wonderful Paul. That's filmed. If anybody that is listening right now has a match of Buzz Sawyer and myself in a 15-minute draw in Hartford, Connecticut, I will give you $500 for that tape. If anybody has it, I will personally pay you $500 to your listeners for that tape. Because that was a tremendous match that somebody that I had a shoot with, somebody that I respected, somebody that was an unbelievable high school wrestler. Guys, you guys don't know how good that is. Anyway, he just had his demon. And I would love to have that match, but I haven't been able to. This is the first time I've actually ever asked for it. But I would rather give somebody money that needs it and have something that I could enjoy because I don't have that match. But my real favorite match was, as I said, the Kiel Auditorium, and you can YouTube it right now. I mean, it's right on. With Mr. Wonderful Poolander, because Vince McMahon Jr. was an announcer at the time. Vince McMahon Sr., many people don't know, but I love Vince McMahon Sr. He's the one that said, you need to beat Brian Blair. Because when I was going in, he sent me to Japan the first time, Vince McMahon Sr., in 1981. And when I came back, because I worked twice, 2 different tours with them before I came back for the big deal, when everything was going big in New York, because the Florida tape went into New York. So I was already over there kind of because of what was happening in Florida, and Vince McMahon found out that my nickname was B. So he said, why don't you be Brian Blair? And I said, yes, sir. Whatever you want. I was happy to have a job. So Vince McMahon Sr., and you're hearing this for the first time on the Zach and Zach podcast, he gave me the handle B. Brian Blair. And, you know, there's a lot of Brian Blairs, but there's only one B. Brian Blair. That's what Vince McMahon Sr. told me. And I'll never forget that in my life, and I appreciate it. And then when Vince McMahon Jr. was sitting at ringside at the Kiel Auditorium, and afterwards, you guys please watch that match. Afterwards, he comes to me and Paul pulls us aside and he says, I have never seen a match like that in my life. It was the best match I've ever seen in my life. He gave us both $1,000 bonus. I mean, he made sure that we got $1,000 bonus just because he said that was the best match. And to me, for Vince McMahon Jr. to tell us that, I mean, there's a million other matches that are better than ours since then. But at the time, he said to us with a very straight face, it was the greatest match he's ever seen. I mean, to me, you don't get too many better compliments than that.
I mean, absolutely not. You know, coming from the man himself, definitely can't take many more compliments than that. But, you know, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but before we let you go here tonight, where can fans stay in touch with you if they would like to through any of the social media accounts that you manage, that you allow fans to follow you on, if you would like to go ahead and get that information out there so fans can go ahead and follow you here before we head to the big show next week in Waterloo, Iowa, July 25th, 26th, and the 27th.
And I will be there on the 25th, by the way, so I hope that I can see so many people. I want to sign everybody's autograph. I want to make all the fans happy. I just want to make sure that my last match, that I make every single person in that building as happy as they can possibly be. You know, I've wrestled in front of 100 people and in front of 100,000 people. And I have never, ever laid down. I've always given it 100%. And I promise everybody that buys a ticket that they will get their money's worth, and that I will do whatever I can to make you happy before and afterwards. And please support the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Zach, please tell me that's what's on my mind right now, but please tell me, I'm not answering your question.
If there's any social medias where fans can follow you on, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, or whichever you have that the fans can get in touch. Yeah.
Well, that's, you asked me something about me personally, and that's like I said, I'm a humble person. But thank you. You can reach me at KillerB1B on Twitter, KillerB, then the number 1, and then capital B at Twitter, and of course I'm on Facebook, and that's about all I can handle, guys. I'm not one thing I'm not is a techie.
Well, hey, we want to thank you for your time here tonight. Hey, on the line with us real quick. Guys, we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back after this.